Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Yo, set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 So life ain't easy, yo, I think there's a reason though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, though. I always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts are poison, they ride, Head full of flies, so here come the clouds, They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost, Yeah, so I'ma fake it till I make it. Positive thoughts are overtaken, I got patience. One day at a time is how you operate a cadence. A flow, you grow, you show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness, do my best, man, I'll take it. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Good morning, my beautiful coffee beans. Welcome to Tuesday here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Okay, I'm gonna stop. It's starting to give me a headache. We are the loudest on YouTube. It's nice to see everybody this morning. I'm Bullhorn Betty. We cover true crime, and we've been covering the blast that rocked Tennessee. This is just a devastating story. You know, everybody wants to know what happened. You know, a piece of me tells me that this is a terrible accident. But, you know, being reminded yesterday by Sheriff Davis, you know, they only have one time to get this right. I mean, a building was leveled and everybody that was inside that building are gone. So nobody really knows what truly happened. And they're not willing to just say this is an accident. And they're not willing to say it's something more. What they're willing to do is take everything apart, piece, you know, debris by debris, and try to put it back together. They need to recreate the entire scene. So anybody that's out there in the Tennessee area, if you have any type of debris in your yard, do not touch it. They do not want you touching it, but they do want you calling it in, and they want to come collect it. They need that to reconstruct what is going on out there in Tennessee and what happened. You know, at the end of the day, this still could have been a terroristic scenario. It may not have been, but there's still a possibility that this is not just an accident. Obviously, they're hoping it's an accident. Everything I'm hearing, it appears to be an accident, but they are the investigators and they can't make assumptions. So piece by piece, debris by debris, they're going to recreate that entire scene out there to find out ultimately what transpired. Where was the original explosion that set off the other explosions that ended up flattening the building and killing all 16 people inside that building? This was a huge situation. And while I would think that, you know, they would, if it was terroristic, it would have been much larger, may have been at a plant a little more close to a big city or something like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, sometimes people just look for targets that can make a big impact. This has rocked the nation, right? Even in the backwoods of Tennessee, this has rocked the nation. And the sheriff out there is very, very emotional because he knew of one of the victims allegedly was his best friend. So he's feeling this. He withheld the victims' names as long as he could. We started dropping names yesterday. It sounded by yesterday evening, you know, they were kind of upset that there's people on Facebook dropping names. They hadn't officially provided names. We did the list. We did have just one mistake. We missed 4 people. Number 13, 14, 15, and 16 remained empty. We couldn't figure out who they were. But there was only one that we got wrong. It was Jeremy Moore and Eric Anderson. We were told that they were brothers. They are not brothers. Eric Anderson, maybe brother-in-laws or something like that, but they said that that Eric and Jeremy were brothers. Come to find out, it's not Eric Moore, it's Eric Anderson. So that was the only name that we got incorrect. And then 13, 14, and 15 were Donald Yowell, James Cook, Letitia Mays, and Melinda Rainey. Those were the other 4 victims that we did not have as of yesterday. So it seemed like the sheriff was a little perturbed that people on Facebook were you know, releasing information. But at the end of the day, somebody's son went out there and gave an interview. I mean, you can't. Other people were posting. Sorry, I'm eating victory oats from Cousin T, but I put some. I chopped up an apple. I made an apple cinnamon oatmeal this morning instead of a brown sugar and maple oatmeal this morning, and I gotta tell you, I like it. Pretty darn good. Okay, enough of that. So there were several people and several families that came out and said that their family members were a part of the explosion. There are other people that are obviously very much moved by the events. There was a man that dropped his daughter off and, went to work and never came home. That's heartbreaking. That to me is heartbreaking, because you got little children, and if there was little children there was other ones. There was grandparents, a chemist there, a grandfather. It's just hearing these stories really do, it affects you. It affects you. So before we get started, we're going to be covering several different cases right quick. Let me see who we got first. Okay, so we have a lady. Before we dive into the Tennessee plant explosion, we're going to look at... okay, we got a few things. I got some things out of order here. Just give me just a moment here. Let me get these things back in order. Okay, so we have, before we get started here, we're going to be talking about two other cases. One case we may go ahead and dive into. It depends on how it works. But there's a lady that was, appears to have been abducted. Nobody's been able to speak to her or identify her. Well, I'm going to show you guys that video of her attack. It may be nothing. She may have had a domestic violence situation and she may be okay. But because of the brutality of what was seen on these cameras, this person's health and well-being must, take precedence here. But before we get started, I do want to personally tell as many of you guys good morning as I can. So give me just a moment. Let me go up here and see how far we can go back. We'll start with Bluegrass. Good morning, Bluegrass. Melanie, Crystal, it's nice to see you. Cheyenne, Crystal Pistol. Our beautiful Sonia, Karen up in the house, Karen / Susan. We're not going to have any Karen comments today. We're going to keep your name Karen, okay? Melanie, Phil, it's nice to see you. Good morning, good morning. Who else do we have? The Real Me Too, Gigi for Life. Marilyn, it's nice to see you. I don't know if it's me, Jen is up in the house, but we'll give a holler to her and the rest of my beautiful mods. I know that Pebbles is up in the house. Pammy Bear, good morning. As a Silkman, it's nice to see you. Good morning, good morning. I hope everybody is doing well. But we're going to go ahead and get started in on our show, and then I've got some other... I got some other stuff to talk about after this. If we have time, we have some other cases that I thought you guys might be interested in, but I didn't put them in the title because they're kind of, we may get to them, we may not get to them. I'm uncertain at this point where we're going to fall in on our time or how long this show is going to last for. If you guys, just for my moms and pops out there, today is Tuesday. If you don't know, usually Tuesdays are the best days to buy meat. So, if you're always trying... Sorry, I shouldn't be eating. I'm hungry. Tuesdays are the best days. If you have a Winn-Dixie next to you and you haven't gone out there yet, if you're home today, this morning, get out there to your Winn-Dixie and check out the food prices, the meat prices. The meat prices on Tuesday are usually the lowest out of the entire week. And any ways that we can help our audience save money, we try. And there are a few of you guys that are here right now. So if you guys have meat on your list, today would be a great day to purchase that meat. So that sounds like what it was. So it's in Wichita, and police are investigating this. video in Wichita. They're asking for anybody to come forward to help identify the woman.
Slowing you down?
And this was at the 1400 block of North Volusia between Grove and Hillside. And this happened on Sunday, October 12th at 2 a.m. Nobody has identified this woman. This could be, again, she could be happy, healthy. It could have just been a domestic issue. And I'm not saying that lightly, but it could be a domestic issue. And this is, something that she's accustomed to dealing with. We really, really don't know. Now, there is something that's going on right now that is highly, highly disturbing, and I'm sure many of you guys have already heard about it. I just heard about it yesterday. This is my first show even touching on this particular case. I don't really like, this is almost too young for me. It's a 6-month-old boy that the father had acknowledged this child as being abducted. And I don't believe the child has been abducted. I believe the father, either through negligence or hostility, did something to the child, and the child is no longer with us. This is a little six-month-old baby boy out of Clayton, Georgia. It sounds like the father is the prime suspect in this case. It sounds like the father does have some type of criminal history. So before we jump into the Tennessee blast and then ultimately Lilly and Jack Sullivan's case, we're going to give a few moments to this 6-month-old baby. Again, in Clayton, Georgia. I know we have a lot of Georgia viewership from our work there for Leilani Simon. So if you guys know anything, if you guys have any information, if you don't want to be involved and you'd rather give the information to a third party for them to get that over to law enforcement, reach out to bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. The baby is a twin, according to Maryland. The baby is a twin. So sad. So sad. So let's get
search centered on an apartment complex on Valley Hill Road in Riverdale. 11 Alive 7 Haynock is joining us live this morning from that apartment complex. Seth, what are you learning this morning?
Yeah, Aisha, Jonathan, Clayton County Police is asking everyone in the public to keep their eyes open for this missing child. They said they've been looking for him since yesterday after he went missing from this apartment complex behind me in Riverdale. They have released an image of this child. This is Nakai Pratt, 6-month-old baby.
Nakai Pratt, 6 months old, precious little baby. Okay? Precious little baby. Did nothing to nobody except being a baby, right? Except being a baby. This child didn't ask to come into this world, but this child's here.
That 6-month-old baby boy, 11 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes. Since yesterday, officers and K-9 units have been combing the surrounding neighborhood, going door to door and checking even nearby woods for the infant with no luck. Investigators have not released many details about how the baby was taken, but they are pleading with the community to come forward to help find.
That's right. You know what, Marilyn? I forgot. I was watching yesterday, and I saw one of the neighbors. I saw an interview with the neighbors, and they said that they knew that they had twins, but nobody had seen these precious babies, these 6-month-old precious babies. Nobody in that neighborhood or that community even knew, like they knew that the mom came home with twins, but nobody saw the children. Nobody saw anything. 11 pounds sounds small for 6 months. I don't know. I don't know one way or another. As long as I can tell a malnourished child when I see one, but other than that, I don't pay attention to weight. I pay attention to skin color, sunken eyes. There's a lot of things I pay attention to because body weight, sometimes with children are finicky. So I look at different things. Hair, is their hair dull? There's just a lot of things I look at for nutrient purposes as opposed to weight. But I really don't know one way or another weight for a 6-month-old. I know 6-month-olds aren't that heavy. They can still be in your arms. They're starting to weigh a little more than a newborn. But, I don't know how many pounds that would be. Excuse me, guys. I got to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I didn't mean to blow your ears out. Sorry. It snuck up on me. Sorry. Yes, the mom has the other one. That's the size of a newborn. Oh, wow. Okay, so let's just keep going.
Him. Clayton County Police is urging anyone with information to contact them directly at the number on your screen or dial 911 immediately. Now, neighbors we spoke to Sunday tell us they saw the baby's parents speaking with police on site. Neighbors also say there is a large wooded area here near the complex and that police were searching there as well as the trunk of a car. As of now, though, police have not released information about a possible suspect. Now, we have reached out to Clayton Police this morning. We've asked for an update as far as their plans today as they continue the search, and if they have received any new tips or any details about a suspect. We're waiting to hear back, but hopefully we do get that update soon. Here in Riverdale, I'm Stephanie Chaynock, 11 Alive News.
To breaking news.
So you guys got that, okay? So the child's there. It sounds like the mom's there. It looks like the father is being looked at, okay? This man right here. It appears, he's the one being looked at. This is Antonio Sherman Pierce. This is from a previous unrelated Gwinnett County arrest in May 31st, 2025. Very interesting stuff. So let's get Clayton County Police named father as a suspect in baby's disappearance.
Ever wondered about the science behind a knock?
I think I got the wrong.
ABC Legal does more than knock on doors. We eliminate.
I think I got the wrong one. Hold on. This is a father of a missing 6-year-old. Sorry, that's the wrong photo. I got the wrong one. At least I think. No, this is from October 20. This is from yesterday. Clayton County Police named father as suspect. Okay, so we do have suspect in baby's disappearance. I do have the right one here. Okay. So this is for 6-month-old Nakai Pratt. I thought I got this wrong because it says right here, police are searching for a 6-month. I thought it said 6-year-old, so I apologize for that. And it says here that Antonio Pierce was arrested. So this is the father. And it says, according to Clayton County Police Department, officers were called to 100 Valley Hill Road in Riverdale at around 8:18 a.m. Sunday after Antonio Pierce told police he had been robbed at gunpoint and that the suspect took his infant son, Nakai, from the car seat carrier before fleeing. That was the first reason why law enforcement didn't believe it. Nobody's taking a baby, okay? But detective says Pierce's story began to unravel. I can only imagine. So police said extensive searches involving bloodhounds of, let me open this up to make this just a tad bit bigger for you guys. Sorry about that. Give me just a second. There we go. So maybe you guys can read along with me. Let me get that off here. Can you guys read that well? Okay. Looks like you guys should be able to read that. So I'm right up here. So involving bloodhounds from Fayette County Sheriff's Office and cadaver dogs from Georgia, Piedmont Region Canine Search and Rescue turned up no signs of Nakai. Now, guys, you got to remember that these are huge signs. This is a brand new baby. Okay, this child can't walk off on his own. Okay, he can't run away from home. He's an infant. Detective also served multiple search warrants at the location believed to be connected to the case, but did not yield any results. On Monday, Clayton County Sheriff's Office broadened the search area. He's not going to be in that area. If the father, when did all this stuff happen? Unless the mom is involved, he would have had to have been by himself. And so mom would have had, so it had to have been within a small range because mama would know if her child was missing. But he did have access to a vehicle. So that gives us problems. It depends on how rural this place is. If it's not so rural, that child could be up to 5 miles away. If it's in a more rural setting, it could be up to 20. The child could be up to 20 miles away. So I don't know if, and we also have to look at when this happened and when, unfortunately, when the garbage ran, right? Because it seems, hey, Hobo's mom, Tina girl, it's nice to see you. Denise, good morning. Good morning, guys. It's nice to see you. We're going to be talking about the blast as well as the new information on the Lilly and Jack Sullivan case after we get through this. We're on the Nakai. This is the 6-month-old child that disappeared. Father is the primary suspect. In this disappearance, he basically said he was robbed at gunpoint and then somebody stole his son out of the car seat. That was his story. It began to unravel. Law enforcement have saturated this area. The saturation has turned up nothing, even with search and rescue, as well as cadaver and other types of dogs. On Monday, Clayton County officers broadened the search, reviewing surveillance footage and canvassing the neighborhoods for leads. Spalding County law, which is land, air, water search. So they're looking into the water. So they're looking for a deceased child here. Teams joined the effort, bringing in another cadaver dog. So, cadaver dog, this is the second, another cadaver dog. So this is telling us where law enforcement really is leaning. And that's very upsetting for me. You guys know that. This is a baby. We keep your damn hands off our kids. I don't care if it's your biological child or not. It's our child. It's the world's child, right? It's God's child. And now we're looking at this, and it's very sad because we're listening to water searches and cadaver dogs. We can, just by those statements, we know what law enforcement is looking at here. We know how law enforcement is leaning in this case. Unfortunately, they're leaning that this child is deceased, that the father that they believe is responsible must have done something to this child where this child lost his life. That's the only possibility here. I mean, the child can't get up and run. The child was allegedly with him, and now the child is missing, and there's no scent of this child. I heard that they looked at the trunk, and based on one of the neighbors' statements, law enforcement didn't look very good or very pleased after looking in the trunk. So although I don't anticipate this child being in the trunk, I believe that there was evidence in that trunk that supported that this child was deceased and removed from that property. Investigators have now named Pierce, 38, a suspect in his son's disappearance. He was booked into Clayton County Jail early Monday on unrelated charges, including marijuana distribution, driving with a suspended license, and child restraint violation. Jail records show he's being held without bond. This is called low-hanging fruit. When I speak to my audience all the time, like even in the Summer Wells case, one of the things that upset me very, very much is the fact that law enforcement would not go after Don Wells or Candace Bly for the low-hanging fruit. And what do I mean by the low-hanging fruit? I always tell everybody, this is the stuff that's completely unrelated to the child, that you can get even down to jaywalking, right? You guys always hear me saying, it's that, they even get you for jaywalking and they throw your ass in jail for it, right? This is low-hanging fruit. This is what I want to see whenever we have situations like that and cases like this. We don't have enough to charge him with this child's homicide right now, but what we need to do is get this animal off the street so he doesn't hurt anybody else and he doesn't start messing with evidence or witnesses. It is very imperative. Law enforcement, listen to me. I'm telling you what you need to know, not what you want to know. The bottom line is whenever you have cases like this, you have to get the suspects and the persons of interest off the street. They can do serious damage to the case by tampering with witnesses, tampering with evidence, and or moving the body multiple times to hide that child, which is what we exhibited during Adam Montgomery. He moved that child with him multiple times before finally disposing of her body. And so we have to start using these statistics to drive, law enforcement to act differently. At the end of the day, I'm not really a Georgia-loving person. You guys know that I love Georgia. My family's from Georgia. I've got a lot of family in Georgia, as a matter of fact, but not a fan of Georgia. I think that they're too liberal, and we dealt with that with Leilani Simon when they did not want to arrest that woman that murdered her 20-month-old child, right? And so they didn't throw her in jail. They left her out of jail. Now, granted, she was white. I think we have to bring that up. I'm sorry. I'm not a racist person. I don't, like to bring race in it. But let's face it, Georgia does not have the best name. And I find it awfully funny that the white girl got to sleep in her bed for 5 weeks, but the black man was immediately arrested. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. You guys can take that for what you will. But this is the reality of our makeup in our country, okay? Leilani got to sleep in her bed while her son was in the freaking landfill, okay? The only difference I see in these cases outside of the age is the fact that one was a white person and one was a black person. Sorry, not sorry. Georgia, you need to get your shit together and you need to apply your laws equally to everybody, white and black, men and women. Just saying, not playing. But I do want to give them, not to knock them, which I just did, which, again, we're just speaking the truth. But, kudos to them. I mean, they did do low-hanging fruit. They've got this man off the streets. So this is what we want law enforcement around this country. Hey, Tulips, it's nice to see you, love bug. Gigi for life. I don't know if I said hi to you. It's nice to see you, bub. But this right here is what we like to see. This is what I actually want to see from law enforcement. It's what we advocate for. When you don't have enough to charge them, go for the low-hanging fruit. They're charging him with marijuana distribution, driving on a suspended license, child restraint violation. Perfect. And he's being held without bond. This is telling us they don't want him out of jail, that they know he's responsible for something. They need some time to investigate. I wish they would have done this to Leilani Simon. That's all I'm saying, That's all I'm saying is I wish they would have done this to Leilani Simon. Why did they leave that woman out of her house or allowed to sleep on her bed after what she did to her frickin' 20-month-old son is beyond me. Police used drones and searched wood areas throughout the day, but by nightfall there was no sign of the infant. Authorities have not, and we have to start looking at, where could he have thrown him? These children, whenever I really think we need to start, and it's going to happen eventually, but I think when we have missing children, they need to start segregating the landfill. Whatever's come into the landfill from that community has to be moved over and segregated until law enforcement gets to it. The landfills are pretty big, so they should have no problem taking a small section and putting it over into an area just to sit until something is, until law enforcement says, nope, we don't need it. So go ahead and process it. But then if we do find out these children are in the landfill, the trash is already segregated and sitting there without going through the processes of being crushed and everything else and evidence being further destroyed. I really think that needs to be part of our policies and procedure, because let's face it, we've watched a lot of cases. Even Emmanuel Haro, I believe that child's in the landfill. We know Quentin Simon went to the landfill. There are a lot of children that are missing that I truly believe are buried in the landfill. There's a lot of people, I believe, that are buried in the landfill. Not just children, but human beings. Human beings. A lot of people use the trash to dispose of their problems. And, there's something, I don't know if there's going to be some type of creativity that or some type of technology that scans stuff and can identify actual human decaying tissue, not blood in syringes and stuff like that. But those shouldn't be going into the landfill anyways. Businesses like that have different types of requirements for disposal. They have to have biohazard disposal companies come in there and get that stuff, or they should at least. But I've heard some people have some stuff going to the landfill. So I don't know. There needs to be something. I'm sorry. There's got to be something. We know that these children are going to the landfill. So I think this is going to be another one where, he was feeling desperate and probably wrapped him up in a plastic bag and tossed him into, even like a store. Those stores, they have those big container dumpsters, right? And those are on the outside of people's businesses. And more times than not, you see a whole bunch of people pulling up there throughout the day, throwing a bunch of different shit in those dumpsters, from just garbage that they don't want to pay to throw at the landfill. Just stuff that they don't want to pay to have. They'll go sneak behind, like, say, a Winn-Dixie and see all those dumpsters and get out and unload their stuff in those dumpsters. And Winn-Dixie has to pick up those costs for the weight of that extra stuff. But I think there's something here with these landfills that we need to start putting some policies and procedures as best, even like National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. They have directives. They have the gold standard in investigations. And I think that they need to have a little blurb in their packet of stuff to law enforcement is to segregate, immediately start segregating the landfill. Anything that's in that kid's neighborhood is segregated from everything else. Let the landfill run. Don't shut the landfill down. Don't do anything. Just simply have them segregate the pile of trash. And then it's there if law enforcement needs it. And if they don't need it, then no harm, no foul. The trash company goes and picks up that pile of stuff and starts going through the processes that it should have done weeks prior to. But at least it segregates that trash. And if there's a body in it, it'll preserve the bones from being crushed again, right? So just a lot of different things. So let's look at this one here.
Ever wondered about the science behind a knock?
This is the same one.
ABC Legal does more than knock on doors. We eliminate
to a news alert in Clayton County a little over an hour ago. Police deemed the father of a missing 6-month-old baby as a suspect in his disappearance. Good evening, I'm Russ Spence.
I'm Courtney Bryant. Investigators say Antonio Pierce was taken into custody on unrelated charges. Fox 5's Kim Leffler has the latest in the investigation. Kim?
Well, investigators were at this apartment complex for hours today looking for any sign of 6-month-old Nakai Pratt. Now, late Monday afternoon, police confirmed the baby's father, Antonio Pierce, was arrested on unrelated charges and is considered a suspect in the baby's disappearance. Clayton County police officers say a cadaver dog got brought in Monday to help look for any sign of 6-month-old Nakai Pratt. Investigators searched the woods and used a drone to look through the crawl space of one of the apartment buildings.
It's devastating. It's devastating for such a little child.
Clayton County police say they originally got called to this apartment complex on Valley.
Yeah, there's a lot of woods there too. Look at all of that foliage around there. That's going to be, people don't realize, a baby, you're looking at a 6-month-old baby holding in your hands this big. That child can literally be put anywhere.
Hill Road a little after 8 Sunday morning for an alleged robbery and kidnapping. Police say Pratt's father, Antonio Pierce, said he was robbed at gunpoint for his valuables and that the robbers took his 6-month-old baby from the car seat he was in and fled the scene. Police say investigators got suspicious of that.
Does anybody... sorry. I probably need to get back. Sorry, I hit the wrong button. Uh-oh. I think I froze the system. Oh no, I froze the system. There we go.
As a suspect in his disappearance.
Okay, sorry.
Good evening, I'm Russ Spence.
I'm Courtney Bryant.
Such a little child.
Clayton County.
Sorry about that. I wanted to get back to where we were. Good gracious. But what I was going to say is, where does anybody know? Has the mother spoken publicly yet? I don't know. I haven't seen. I'm just diving into this case. It came up on my pool this morning, and so I'm diving into the case. But we're hearing that this is a child that has a twin. Why was this the only child abducted? Where was the other child? And where was the mom? Obviously they're not saying mom is involved in this. I don't see how anybody can hurt a child. I don't either, Bren. We don't understand why people do what they do, but a lot of these people are ill-equipped to deal with child, because our education system doesn't train people anymore on how to deal with problems, right? They tell you if somebody has a problem about something else, it's their problem, right? Instead of it being your problem, you're having the one be the one that has to deal with it. They're teaching, anyways. I'm not going to get on my soapbox on that, but the bottom line is that I think there's a lot of people that are ill-equipped to be parents because they have no ability to handle or have patience. They have no ability to deal with life. They're not prepared for life. They're not prepared for things not going their way because nobody's held them accountable, and everybody has just enabled these people. I can't. I don't know. Maybe it's drugs. Maybe it's substances. There's a lot of reasons why children are harmed inside these households, and a lot of it has to do. I was reading one that a guy's being sentenced for the rest of his life because his infant child was murdered at his hands because he was playing video games and got frustrated and ended up throwing his infant child across the room, killing her. You know, these are types of things, and this is gaming, okay? So there's a lot of things that are triggering, but games should not make you become a homicidal maniac of a baby, right? But we're finding out that there's a lot of pent-up anger and animosity in a lot of these people. And a lot of these people are going to these games and using violence to fix their problems, you know, virtually. And so I think I think it's doing something to the brain, you know, and triggering something in the brain that tells your brain that, you know, it's okay, or, you know, I don't know. There's just a lot. There's a lot. I think it could be different for anybody. I think it could be medication, like in the transgender argument. You know, I really do truly believe that some of those hormones are really causing people to get crazy. And, you know, it's just a lot of different things, like some videos. I feel like that instead of parents observing their children and realizing what they're observing is mental illness, they're in denial, and they're telling themselves that they'll grow out of this, and they're not going and getting help themselves or getting you know, opinions. They're justifying everything. And I just think it's a whole host of things, and I don't think it's one thing from one person to another. I think we're going to find some similarities as we study this stuff and this phenomenon. But I think it's going to be a lot of differences. And I think it comes down to people genuinely not being prepared for life, I think really is what we're going to ultimately find. I don't know.
Police say they originally got called to this apartment complex on Valley Hill Road a little after 8 Sunday morning for an alleged robbery and kidnapping. Police say Pratt's father, Antonio Pierce, said he was robbed at gunpoint for his valuables and that the robbers took his 6-month-old baby from the car seat he was in and fled the scene. Police say investigators got suspicious of that story due to inconsistent testimony, along with evidence they say points to foul play. Monday morning, police arrested Pierce on unrelated charges, including possession of marijuana and traffic violations. They do call him a suspect in Pratt's disappearance.
I'm very interested in the mom. I think we're all kind of interested in where's mom? You know, what does mom have to say? I don't know if mom has spoken. We're hearing that this is one half of a twin set. Where's the other child? Why wasn't the other child abducted? You know, there's a lot of differences here.
He was always really a good person, always helped us out, you know, and it's heartbreaking. It's just really sad.
Our crew saw a total of 4 cars towed from this property between Sunday and Monday. Police say right now searches of the property over the last 2 days in a larger area Monday have not led them to Pratt.
This is also just disturbing to have to keep waking up to see that we're still...
That's the neighbor that kind of said that they had... I remember seeing her in another interview, and she's like, yeah, we knew that the twins were there, but we never saw them. This was I recognize her face. This is the one.
Looking for a 6-month-old baby that can't fend for herself, so at this point, where is the baby?
Police are asking anyone who knows where Pratt is to call 911 or the Clayton County Police Department. Live this evening in Riverdale, Kim Luff.
So I think we get the gist of this.
Fox
Let me see if I can get
All right, Kim, thanks for the update there.
Child. No, that's whatever. So we kind of get the gist of what's going on with this child, and I've got another one is right here, but I don't know if we're going to get to that right yet. All right, so now we're kind of full circle to where I want to be on this matter. So we've got 16 presumed dead at the plant, the Tennessee plant. This was an explosion manufacturing type of plant that actually specialized in explosive chemicals, compounds, and everything that you can imagine. They provided, weapons to our military. They provided explosive devices and stuff like that, and material to certain contractors to bring down buildings for demolition purposes, road work, other things. A lot of people don't realize that sometimes you need these explosions, especially in the mountain areas, to make roads. I mean, you got to find ways to get through those mountains, right? They're rocks. They're huge rocks, and they do have some machines that cut through those rocks, but still, they still have to detonate some areas to clear it out before those machines can even get in there. And so there's a lot of reasons for this type of product. Now, the biggest concern is obviously the entire building was leveled. And many of us that have lived through 9/11, our spidey senses start going crazy, right? We have experience in this country of domestic terrorism. We've seen like the marathon bombing stuff. We've seen other things going on around this country. And so when we hear about bombs or bomb-making materials or explosives going off, hey, Vicky, it's nice to see you, love. Faye, good morning. We get a little weird, right? Because of our experience, our not so good experience with people that wanted to cause harm to American citizens just because we're American citizens. And when we hear about an entire building being leveled and 16 people being deceased, naturally we want to believe that this was a terrible accident, that somebody obviously made a mistake, because our brains would like us to believe that if this was a terroristic event, they would try to go for more people than 16. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the case, because sometimes people just want the event. They want the massive event. Whether or not people lose their life or not, they want the statement. And so is this one of those situations where this was a statement piece that, there is somebody out there that is claiming this being their target and this being their event? I don't know. Everything that I'm looking at, everything that I'm speaking with some people about, it appears that this is a terrible accident. But the bottom line is what if? And that is what they are making sure. They don't want to automatically assume that this was a terrible accident and overlook the fact that this may have been something different. They have to cross their I's, or they have to dot their I's and cross their T's in a situation like this. So that means every single bit of debris has to come back and has to be accounted for. You guys have no earthly idea what type of undertaking that is going to be to recreate this scene. However, it is my hope that when they get everything together, it's going to create the scene where they know exactly what happened, where this explosion triggered, how it triggered the mini explosions, and how this property was leveled and 16 people's lives lost. And that's where we need to be. That is, in my opinion, looking at this site, I don't see where we're going to have that information for at least 2 years. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. We might get it back in several months, or preliminary findings back in several months. But I'm looking at that entire building being leveled and knowing that they have to take those chunks of concrete and try to rebuild this building. And I'm just psychologically trying to figure out, like, even the collection. I know that they have programs that they plug all this stuff into, and the program really does help them build their scene, but they still have to catalog. That's still crazy cataloging. Like, you have to take one chunk, you got to take a picture of it, you got to measure where it came from. People don't understand, like, literally the methodical. When you say methodical, I think that you guys are in your brain are still not understanding what I mean by methodical. Like, this is a methodical, piece by piece investigation. And they keep making sure we know they only get one bite at the apple on this. So Getting back to this, we do have names. I want to finally read all of the victims' names. I am going to ask the people out there. I know that, especially me, we always like to try to get in front of people. We always try to get, interviews. I'm a time and a place type of person. This isn't the time. This isn't the place. And so it's hard. I know that the sheriff didn't like it, and they tried to basically say misinformation, but in all fairness, they can try to tag this as misinformation all they want from Facebook. But let's face it, I had everything. I had 12 listed people here, 12. And every single one of the names, the 12 names that we had, were accurate, with the exception of one. We called him Eric Moore when his name was Eric Anderson, and that was based upon one statement on Facebook from somebody else. So it really wasn't misinformation. As a matter of fact, this was a very accurate list that we compiled yesterday from the people from Facebook. So no misinformation. And I think it's important here because law enforcement is always screaming misinformation, misinformation. But when we break it down and we get the real information, we find out that social media's misinformation wasn't misinformation at all. It was actually accurate information. And that is along with the list. We had this list, with the exception of one last name being inaccurate. The list was absolutely spot on with everybody's name. We had 4 places where we missed names, and those were now included. So just to kind of go over all of these folks and who lost their life, I would like to say that Trent Stewart, Melissa Dawn Stanford, Christopher Clark, Raina Gillihan, Eric Anderson, Jeremy Moore, Adam Boatman, Rachel Woodall, Mindy Clifton, Billy Baker, Jason Adams, Stephen Wright, and here are the 4 we did not have yesterday. It was Donald Yoel, James Cook, Letitia Mays, and Melinda Rainey. Those were the 4 we did not have yesterday. And again, I understand that this is, hard for the people in this community, but there are a lot of people around this world that are praying for them, and they want to know who was affected. And I understand it's a personal matter, but it's not. This rocked the entire United States of America, and people are curious. And this is a public interest piece, unfortunately, for this community. And that makes it, we have a right to know type of sentiments to it. So I do appreciate the sheriff out there being kind. I do appreciate him doing multiple press conferences. I mean, we could have another Sheriff Snuggle Struggles on our hand, but we don't. We actually have somebody that cares about the community and wants to keep people up to date with the information. So that's kind of where we are at. Let me see if this one had some photos of the people that lost their life. I don't think that's for me. No, that's not for me. There were some here that did have photos to them, so I brought them up so you guys could see it. But all right, so we're going to go on over to the press conference. Let me go ahead and clear this up so you guys can see it, and I'll have to deal with that a little bit later. Okay.
Everyone, my name is Lorraine Sliger, S-L-I-G-E-R. I'm with the State's All Hazard Incident Management Team as the Public Information Officer. We've been out supporting Humphreys and Hickman County these last few days. We were in the process of turning that back over to the locals. So I'm going to let your local PIO, which is Gray Collier with Humphreys County EMA.
So it sounds like the local area is going to be supported by the feds. But this is a local case, and they've got to do their own investigation, it sounds like. So they're handing the baton back to the locals, and the locals need to take up. Now, I will tell you, the sheriff does get a little melancholy. He's clearly upset. A friend of his was involved in this and inside that blast, and it's really bothered him in some type of way, which, as you can imagine, sheriffs are human beings as well. And we've noticed that he's been very emotionally affected throughout this investigation, but he's keeping his head in the game. And I like seeing officers that are moved, okay, period. I do. It's not because of the tragedy. It just shows me that they're human, that it still gets to them, and that's what we want to see in our law enforcement.
Speak to you, and then we'll be here just to support them through this mission.
Hi guys, like she said, if I haven't met you yet, I know I've met a lot of you. My name is Grey Collier, that's Grey Collier, and I'm the Public Information Officer under the Humphreys County Emergency Management Agency. And so we've been really blessed to have support on the communications end and PIO end from the state over the last few days to really help hopefully get that information out to you smoother than a one-man show can do. But we will be transitioning back down to local, and I'll still have some assistance back up. But we appreciate your cooperation, your patience that has been so appreciated over this weekend. If you don't have my contact information, you can get with me, and you should have all that by the end. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Davis and Sheriff Kraft.
I'd like to take just a moment to follow up on what she just said. The PIOs from every agency, again, my mind's still tired of everybody that's here and they're able to come together, and the information that we've been trying to push out to you guys and keep you up to date as much as we can on everything. Number one, I look around and I see that I'm familiar with a lot of you here, and I want to say I'm very appreciative of the ones of you here, because my next comment I don't think come from anyone here or that we know is here. Again, I would like to really emphasize the fake reporting, the fake information that's being put out there. It's being very hurtful to a lot of our families and to our victims, families and their extended families. And it's actually one of the reasons that we wanted to take a few minutes and do what we're about to do. Sheriff and I are about to release to you the names and confirm that.
It didn't freeze. I had my mic off. What I had said is I didn't realize you guys couldn't hear me. Let me go back here. Let me do this. Hold on.
Really emphasize the fake reporting.
That's what I was talking about. Sorry, it didn't freeze up. You guys just didn't realize I was talking, and I muted my mic because I'm eating. But what I was going to say is everything I found on Facebook has not been fake. I mean, the list that I've got, it was accurate with one minor error, and that was a last name being Anderson versus, I can't remember what the name that they did say that it was, but they basically said two guys were brothers, and they weren't. They were, I don't know if they even had any type of relationship with them. But this fake news thing, I'm blocked out of fake news Facebook groups, like all of JLR or Magnolia's Facebook groups. They keep me blocked out of those. So I don't know if there's misinformation or flat out lies, because I know that their prior channels and groups, they lied about everything. And so they block me out because I go in there and I start posting the truth, and they don't like that. So this guy's talking about fake news, but unless it's coming from one of those groups that have me blocked, I didn't see any fake news on Facebook that this sheriff is talking about. And he seems to be really upset about the names being released, but let's be honest, the names that I had were accurate. They weren't fake. And he's about to release them. I had 4 names that were missing off my list, and I was able to plug those in, but all of those names that were on my list were accurate, with the exception of Eric. Eric was Eric Anderson, not Eric, I can't remember what name that they said he was originally. But that was the only mistake.
The fake information that's being put out there, it's being very hurtful to a lot of our families and to our victims, families and their extended families.
Hey, Karen, it's nice to see you.
One of the reasons that we wanted to take a few minutes and do what we're about to do. Sheriff and I are about to release to you the names and confirm that with you guys of the 16 victims. With that, I know some of you have probably seen that information through Facebook or wherever, but we want to confirm with you.
They should have, and you know, in all fairness, I think he's upset because they should have, and maybe they're talking about some of these bad news. Maybe I'm misunderstanding him. Maybe he's talking about 2 separate things: the lies on Facebook and the names. But it sounded like he was talking about that the names on Facebook were lies. But now that I'm listening to it again, it sounds like he was talking about 2 separate things. They might be talking about, you know, conspiracy theories that are coming out, you know, that this is a terroristic type of a situation, but I don't know. I haven't even seen those yet. Okay, so I haven't seen anything really. All I was looking for, though, was the victims' names. That was what my hunt was yesterday, and I found the majority of the names through like 3 or 4 different articles. I was able to compile a list, but I wasn't really looking for other people's commentary on this case, so I don't know what he's talking about. I just don't.
The names of those individual souls that we've been talking about.
He's upset. I feel so bad for the sheriff.
We'll be going in alphabetical order, and we'll be rotating between he and I, between Sheriff and I. So, Jason Adams,
Eric Anderson,
Billy Baker,
Adam Boatman,
Christopher Clark,
Mindy Clifton,
James Cook,
Rena Gillingham,
Letitia Mays,
Jeremy Moore,
Melinda Rainey,
Melissa Stanford,
Trenton Stewart,
Rachel Woodall,
Stephen Wright,
Donald Yule,
that's the name of our 16 souls that we're still trying to take care of and their families. We still have a lot of things inside the scene that are very active.
So when I hear that they have a lot of things inside the scene that are very active, what I believe now, again, I'm not speaking from fact here. This is just an assumption. But what I'm hearing is that there's still some material that could be very hazardous. Okay, that's what, when they say there's things inside the scene that are still active. That, yeah, now granted, I could be misunderstanding him, but that's basically what I feel they're saying here. Karen says, I realize until I start digging more the other day, far-reaching extent of the church. Oh, that's related to Sebastian. If it were a terrorist attack that came from within their employees, would the LE government really be honest and tell us? That's my you know what, Nani, the question is no, I don't. I don't trust our government. They never tell us the truth. They think that they're protecting us, right? That's their excuse for not informing us about the stuff that they should be informing us about, right? Is that they know what's best for all of us, right? I get so sick and tired of that. Oh, that's okay, Pussy Willow Pendercat. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You know, but if it was, would we know? We probably wouldn't know for a couple years. And then it's going to be like, oh yeah, that bomb one time that was a terrorist attack. It's like, what? It was a terrorist attack? You know, it's just the stuff that's obvious, like the Boston Marathon bombing and stuff like that. Yeah, that was you really couldn't hide that, right? We knew what we were witnessing there. This is much different. This is where the issue here is that if this was a terrorist attack, they could hide it so easily. And I think that's what terrifies everybody so much, is that if it is an attack, whether domestic or international, if it is, this would be one that would be hidden. You know, it's well hidden if it is. And I think that's what scares a lot of people. So that's what's making them say, okay, well, let's just take our time here. What's the rush? You know, at the end, hey, hot damn, it's nice to see you. I have to assume that they're kind of in the mentality that I would be at. Like, these victims are already gone. We're not bringing them back. Let's not rush this. Let's get this done and let's do it right. Hey, YouTuber, it's nice to see you. Let's get it and do it right. The victims are gone. Okay, the victims are gone. There's nothing that's going to bring them back. We're not in a rush to save lives here. Everybody's gone. You know, so now has to be, okay, where do we go from here? Well, now that we know everybody's gone, there's nobody to save, there's no urgency for saving lives here. Now it's time to slow down, very, very slow, and do this investigation properly. We need to make sure that what we're looking at here is what we're looking at here. And I think that that's where they are. I don't believe that they've recovered all the victims. I don't believe those victims' bodies or remains have been released to the families. Now, he is going to a funeral. Obviously, there has been somebody's body released. But I don't think they have everybody. I don't think there's a possibility for them to have everybody, because an entire building was leveled. And I'd have to think that some of those beings are trapped beneath the rubble. That some of those folks that there's no way to uncover them yet, because the building, the debris is still there. That's what I'm at, where I'm at. So I don't know, but we'll find out.
We still have a very good operational plan. We're moving forward. We're still at a snail's pace. We are still in the process of collecting samples, and are in the process of trying to make confirmations so we can start talking to families individually. And it's the next few hours, next few days, we're going to really try to focus on that process one of the things that I'd like to ask of you all, we're going to take questions about what's going on, and I'm going to respectfully ask that we not be asked questions about the victims and their families.
So, as you can see, both of these sheriffs are moved, okay? They want, the victims' families are kind of off limits. They're making the hard line in the sand. I mean, they can't stop the victims from speaking. They can't stop, media from reaching out to them. I don't reach out to people. I used to quite a bit. But we've kind of changed the focus from some of the work that we did here originally on this channel to what we do now. So if I was still in that, that realm, I would be reaching out because it's within my rights to do so. I'm really about rights, but I'm also a time and a place type of person. And so it is, I don't want to cause any additional problems. And not only that, but this is not a case we're diving into like we dive into, say, Sebastian Rogers, where we have a missing child, where we're trying to locate that child, and every second matters. We're not in a situation like this. All 16 people are deceased. It's unfortunate. I truly believe this was just a tragic accident. At least that's what I pray. I would hate to think that these beautiful souls were lost because of hate. Hate in our world, hate in our country, just hate. That would really hurt my heart. Accidents are a little more digestible in a situation like this. Nobody's at fault, just a terrible accident. Somebody made a mistake. I had to step away from where I'm from. Oh, that's okay. Thank you, Leslie. It's nice to see you, love. I hope you're doing well today. But it's just it's got to be hard, and it's going to even be harder because if this was a terrible accident, that means one of the 16 people did this, And I think that the sheriffs are trying to stay away from that conversation as well. Who's responsible for this? And I don't ever want to couch, especially when it comes down to this conversation about this particular case. I don't want to talk about the responsible party, because at the end of the day, we all go to jobs, okay? When I worked at a real estate office, the biggest mistake I could make was getting a paper cut. Actually, that's not true. The biggest mistake I could make is helping with a loan that's fraudulent, right? Or something to do with laundering money, which is, and believe it or not, prevalent in the real estate market. If you don't know how it works, it's where they go and they say, oh, I want this house. Okay, well, we need $30,000 earnest money deposit. So you give them $30,000, and within their 15 days, they decide to cancel that contract. Well, you just washed that money. You just washed $30,000 for them because they gave you $30,000 dirty money. They canceled the contract, and you gave them they just gave you back $30,000 worth of clean money. So there's a lot of aspects that people don't look at as far as laundering money in the real estate world, but I just feel like there's just something more going on. I don't feel like there's more going on here. What I feel like is somebody made a terrible mistake. We're going to find out that somebody made a terrible mistake, but I don't want them being the ones that are responsible for the 16 people. That's where I'm going to go with that. I'm going to shut my mouth. Go on tangents.
Respectfully do that. Again, everybody's here that's behind us is here.
Let me just get past this.
Supportive.
He's struggling here.
You seen the governor here yesterday?
Okay.
And everything through this.
Okay.
Tell me something, and I know their technology. We used it during the flood, and we had great success with it.
Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have went that far. Here we go. Sorry, I'll leave it alone.
Well, as we've spoke before in some of our earlier conferences, the TBI is on scene with top-of-the-line technology that they have to be able to do that. And
hey hope floats. Nice to see you.
I don't even want to try to go much further with that statement because I don't understand it myself. But when they tell me something and I know their technology, we used it during the flood and we had great success with it. I'm just going to depend and trust on the process and their expertise in that matter. Could I ask a favor, please? If y'all ask a question, please say your name and where you're from.
And just to add on to that too, and not just with the agencies, also AES as well has been very helpful in everything through this investigation. So it takes all of us working together, and that's how where we're at.
They don't want anything monkey effing with people, monkey effing with this, this investigation. Everybody's working together. They want things flowing. It seems like everybody is coming together to find out what happened. Let's face it, a building was leveled and 16 people are dead. Everybody wants answers.
If I may, we talk about AES and we talked about it yesterday. You've seen some of the vigils, and I don't believe it's anybody here, but some of the families and these extended families, and we also like to call AES part of these souls, a part of our individuals that we're looking for, part of their extended family, and we ask you that you show those same employees the respect of not putting things in their face or asking them questions. And this is a very tedious situation. It's a lot of moving parts from the investigative.
I just want to break it down here. They're like, you don't need to be throwing their microphone in their face. Everybody has a job to do, and I know that his job is to tell everybody, give peace, give space, give this, give that. Okay, the reality of it is that that's not going to happen. This is again, 16 people are dead. A building is completely leveled, and this is a bomb, an explosion that shook houses 15 miles away. This is a big deal. This is not something where people that are in the media are going to stand down. They're going to shove microphones and everything else in every single person's face that they can stick it in to get any type of soundbite clip or anything, because at the end of the day, their only job is to inform the public of what's going on. And it's the job of the law enforcement to limit as much as the public is informed. You see there, so they both have opposite goals in these cases. Law enforcement wants to keep as much quiet and close to the chest as possible, where the media wants to expose as much of it out to the public. So you can see that they have conflicting goals. Just on the face of it, and this is life, right? This is the way our makeup is. So while I understand this sheriff's point, and I understand his heart, God bless him, he seems like a great. Both of these sheriffs seem like great sheriffs for their community, and they're saying all the stuff that they need to say. But the reality of it is, it's just not going to help.
To the case, to families and feelings, and there's a lot of things, and I know there's a lot of questions. I know the families have a lot of questions. Tulips. And we're in a snail's pace, and we will try to get you as much information as we can, as fast as we can, and continue to be as transparent as we can. Yes, go ahead, and I'll come right back to you, ma'am.
I didn't hear the question.
Sheriff, you want to talk?
It's just like I said, misinformation, and it is being passed out. And like I said, and we don't believe it's from anybody here, but y'all know in the media.
They had an opportunity. This is what upsets me. He had an opportunity. So I got the question now. So they were asking what out there on social media was inaccurate or something to that effect, and he can't give a specific example. I don't like that. If something's bothering you, that you condemn social media or posts on Facebook or something to the point that you're sitting up behind a podium saying that it is fake news, you should be able to identify the news in which you are referring to. I'm sorry, it's just how I feel. I'm not being disrespectful to law enforcement. It's just an assessment that I'm making here. If you've got a bone to pick, have an example. Like, at least Chad Bianco had some examples of why he was upset. Now, granted, the example he used was actually from mainstream media as opposed to social media, but I digress. I mean, he did at least give an example. These sheriffs here aren't giving an example, just social media is fake news, and we don't believe anybody out here is the one doing it. I don't like that. I know it's nothing that I'm doing wrong because I'm getting this stuff off of either Facebook or other stuff, and so far, everything I've gotten has been accurate. So, again, that begs to question, what are they referring to related to fake news? Are they just upset that they didn't want the names out there and the names did get out there? But again, the stuff that I was reading yesterday came from family members, not just, I mean, there was an article from a news that listed, I want to say, like 11 of the names, in that news article. But that was the only that was the only news article that I reviewed. Everything else was from family, and the names that was in that news article had already been released from several families that had posted stuff on Facebook. So, I don't know.
Y'all understand there's a lot of people that have their own pages, their own YouTube channels, and everything.
But it doesn't mean they're wrong.
Their own agendas, and they're putting information out that is just...
I would like to know what they're talking about. Are they talking about conspiracy theories on this being domestic terrorism, or are they talking about the names? Because it seems like they're talking about you. I don't think they're talking about the names anymore. Somebody is spreading around some fake information that's really, really upsetting to them, but they're not expressing what it is. And I don't think it has to do with the names at this point.
It's 100% not true. I mean, we talk to families that they're seeing this, and it's hurtful to them.
Are they saying one of the members of this team is the one that did this, or are they trying to say that somebody in that manufacturing plant was a terrorist or intentionally doing this? Is that what they're trying to? Maybe that's what they're. I haven't seen anything like that online at all. If you guys see something like that, send that over to me, bullhornbetty@gmail.com, bullhornbetty@gmail.com. I just want to find out what they're talking about. That's it. I want to figure out what they're talking about. I haven't seen they're spending a lot of time on this fake news of being completely, utterly inaccurate. And I have to think somebody is passing around something, but I personally haven't saw or seen what they're referring to. Hey, Strawbirdie, it's nice to see you, love.
And, we've met with the families and explained the same thing with them is there's a lot of stuff out there that's fake and not true, and made them aware of it. No, it's not anything. I think Sheriff Davis and myself and everyone that's here is trying to give all the information that we can to the appropriate people as it comes up. But again, we can't.
I have a funny feeling I'm going to be spending the rest of my afternoon searching this case, because now, it's one of those things that are bothering me. Now it's like, okay, what is being said that's bothering them, where they take 20 minutes of this interview to talk about it? Now I'm curious, does somebody accuse somebody at this facility of doing something bad? Because that's the only thing that seems like would upset these sheriffs and talk about completely fake news. I mean, this seems a little more than just names being released on Facebook, which I had assumed was what prompted all this. But now that I'm listening to it a third time, it seems like they're talking about two separate scenarios here.
Control what a lot of other people do, and the conspiracy theories that comes out, and
somebody had to have said something.
Unfortunately, that's probably every day something new comes out, and it's
I
hurtful
agree.
to the families, and
you can see it in as
our concern is on the families right now, and we need to be taking care of them and not spreading that or drawing more attention to stuff that's just not true.
Drama.
Yes.
Drama. So they're saying somebody's spreading.
I have to take her next. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if you guys can't hear it, the lady just said, I'm with CNN, and I think that this is better suited for your ATF. So it sounds like she's about to ask the ATF some questions So let's listen to this.
Ma'am, I ask if it's regarding the investigation. I don't want to speak for the SAC, but I ask if it's regarding the investigation that I want to probably defer that question with that permission, if that's okay.
All right, I'm going to let him go. I'll be right back.
So it's a two-part system to where the first part is we have to make sure that the scene is safe for everybody to work, all the first responders that are there to work. We make sure that that scene is safe, render anything that needs to be neutralized as far as potential hazards, whether that's explosives or anything else. We'll make that secure, and then we start to do the recovery process of any remains that are there, so that as each part as we go to clear, it's a very big site, and as we go to clear those areas, then it's a two-part process there to do that. So, and then as that area is clear, and then once we have that entire area cleared for all hazards, all remains, everything else, then we'll start the post-blast.
So this is where I thought this was interesting in how he's explaining. I don't know if he's gotten through his whole spiel just yet because I stepped away and I wasn't paying attention. But he's basically, this is where I understood what they're truly doing at the scene, at the blast site, and how complicated this case is going to be, because what this lady is basically asking is, you know, what are they planning on doing? You know, what are the reconstruction? What are they looking for? And the guy can't really explain it to him because, yes, there were 30 children found. If you're talking honestly, Becky, yes, 30 children were found in Texas. We'll be going over that here in just a little bit. But this is where he starts explaining that they have to take all the debris and start building this case. They got to put the building back together, folks. That's how complicated this investigation is going to be. They have to, like, literally put brick by brick, debris by debris back in place, find out exactly where each of those items landed, measure that, and then reconstruct that entire blast. That's why I said, I don't know if we're going to get this in the next year. I mean, you're talking about some major stuff. I guess we'll see.
Investigation in that to kind of see the cause and origin of what happened.
But what does that look like? What are you looking for, given the level of this?
Everything, it's almost like putting a puzzle back together.
Right there.
We have worked closely with AES to know, to look at pictures, look at blueprints, any of the identifying things that were in the building, and then we slowly, methodically chart to put some of that stuff together. So. There's
that's
all
why
of
she's
it
she's looking. She's wanting to know what is the critical piece of evidence you're looking for. They don't know. The critical piece of evidence that they're looking for is where did the original blast come from? That's the critical evidence they're looking for. They're looking for where the original, the very first blast originated from. Who is there? What was it that created that original blast? And he can't answer that because he just doesn't know. So I'm going to get past it because it goes on like this for several minutes. And it literally goes on and on and on. And he says the same thing over and over again. So that's basically it. They want to know what the conversations have been with family.
We have spoke to the families as a group. We know that we've had some breakout teams because there was questions that a lot of the families had and wanted to feel more comfortable talking individually. We know that those conversations have taken place. We've assured them that we're doing everything that we can. And I really don't want to go much further than that because I want to respect those conversations and respect those families.
So families having problems, coping with this, trying to understand what happened. In a situation like this, nobody has answers. Nobody has answers. Nobody knows nothing, okay? And it's hey, Alicia, it's nice to see you, love. It's Frank, I missed you. Good morning, good morning. It's nothing other than nobody knows what transpired. Everybody that would know what happened inside that building are gone. And so there's nobody to answer those questions. So those questions have to be sought and found by third parties. And those third parties are the investigators in this. And they're terrified of doing something wrong. And that's what it comes down to. This is probably the biggest situation that's ever happened in this local area to this degree, probably in its history. And I'm absolutely certain, terrified of making a mistake, terrified of overlooking something. They've never dealt with something like this before, and they want to dot their I's and cross their T's. They want to move at a snail's pace because they want to make sure they don't forget. And you'll hear this sheriff say over and over again, you know, we have one time to get this right. One. That's it. That's it. We got one bite at this apple. If we screw it up, we screw it up. And we don't want to screw it up. We have to have much respect for that. I know that this is a daunting issue probably for some of those families because, like I said, I don't believe, I don't know. I don't know for fact. But I'm not sure that they've been able to get all the victims out of this area. I don't know. They're not talking about that, you know. But I don't know if they've been able to get all of the victims that lost their life out because there's rubble on top of them, I would presume.
Sheriff Davis, it's the other Chris Davis.
The other. Hi, Chris.
So many people in Middle Tennessee, I know, want to help. I know national audiences have been
people want to help.
This and want to be able to help the families and want to help this.
Want to help the families?
Is there anything we can do?
How can we help?
Sure.
I know there has been a GoFundMe page that's been set up.
We'll get that stuff up for the
information is on Humphreys County, Hickman County EMA's website, our Facebook page. It's also on the Hickman County Sheriff's Office Facebook page, and I'm assuming probably Humphreys County's as well. So there is some stuff that's getting started.
Yes, sir.
And then I also just want to ask, I know you guys are wanting to protect, you know, the identities of these families. Totally understand that, but give us an idea of the kind of people we've lost here in this community. You know, it seems like the two of you likely know these people.
Absolutely, Chris, and just for an example, you know, and as I've said before, it's you walk into this room and we look at a list of names before, you know, we get the list of names. We're walking into the room, and then that's when we start putting faces, families together. That's when we start putting things, oh wow moments, and what I mean by that, Chris, is as we stand up there, we start looking out across everyone that's in the room. My neighbor, her husband is in one of these victims. One of my best friends.
Okay, guys, we can take one more question. We've got time for that, and then we've got other appointments we need to be at.
Growing up was in that room a teacher from our county. He's got the same situation with him, you know, and I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it's, you know, it's sort of kind of like the flood. We may not have known that individual personally, but in some form or fashion we probably, or do, know their family or extended family, and it's this small county, rural America, where everybody knows each other and everybody's going to take care of each other. So I'm going to come back to you because I told you I would. I'm sorry, ma'am. Go ahead.
You mentioned that cell phone records would be key. Have you guys recovered any cell phone electronic communication from before the blast on Sheffield Lake?
Ma'am, I'm going to say that's information that is still important to that investigation part of it. And I want to go back and I want to address a question that was said earlier. And please remember this, and I want to echo this, and I want to keep echoing this. We're treating this as if we do any other call that we go on. We have one shot. One shot. If this is an accident, we want to prove it to ourselves that this is an accident. If this is something, not saying that it is or it is not, we only have that one shot to process that evidence and to be methodical and slow and making sure that it is that accident or it is something else. And we've got to take every measure for that. And I think
And that's what scares everybody, is that this was an explosion that leveled a building that claimed 16 people's lives. There is not one person inside that building that survived that can tell law enforcement what happened. Law enforcement can't automatically assume that this is just a terrible accident. They have the duty to investigate this case to determine what happened. They cannot make assumptions. They have no ability to make assumptions at this point. They have to follow the evidence. There is a possibility, folks. There is a possibility that this was not a terrible accident. And as the sheriff said, he's got one bite at this apple, one, to determine whether this was an accident or something more. And he wants to know. This is personal to him.
I want to really reiterate the fact that of what those NRT guys are doing, and in this kind of heat. I know for a lot of us in Tennessee, this may not seem like a lot of heat, but when you put the equipment on, the gear on, and are inside that location, it's very physically demanding. And but to get to that answer, I think to get to the answer that you're wanting, as part of that, that's going to take time, and we're having to treat things the best way we can to get those answers and to get that closure, not only for the families, but to find out that the reason why this happened. So yes, ma'am, and I apologize to you. Yeah. That's definitely one of the Achilles heels that we have, is having to do that. But we also just discussed this morning that our scene has expanded a little. So that's another reason that's going to even take a little bit more time.
Scene has expanded.
With all the different, the physical.
That's interesting. The scene has expanded. That's new. That's new information. Aw, Michelle, thank you. Good morning to you too. I appreciate you. Appreciate you, love bug.
Goodness of the work. If there is a such word as that, that's how tired I am. The physical nature of the work, how demanding it is, the mass, the desire to take the time and make sure that we're doing it right. That's all part of this. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say? I hope I answered your question in that way. But folks, I really appreciate.
So the one thing we can say is that the sheriff is exhausted. Okay, this has affected him. He's heading out to a funeral. Many of you guys don't know that, but he was leaving from here to head to a funeral. I'm assuming from somebody that was inside that building that they did find. They went ahead and was doing a funeral yesterday. And It's just very heartbreaking. Just very heartbreaking. Pieces from the blast. That's what I'm assuming, Tulips. But the blast site, their radius has expanded. So that blast looked pretty extensive. And we have to remember that this was an explosive plant. This is a plant that predominantly dealt with explosive and combustible materials. For a variety of uses, from military to construction to road work. They have to have companies that supply this stuff, right? So one of the things that we learned is that based upon heat, movement, all these things, they can affect other products. Heat can turn something. So I have to think that this entire facility, if that bomb, it was like a bomb explosion, right? It wasn't. It was combustible materials that whatever happened, at least that's what we assume. We're assuming, we're taking the position right now. We know that there's a possibility that it could be something else, but our channel's taking the position that this was a terrible accident until other information is brought forward. I don't want to be a part of a conspiracy theory. I don't want to spread misinformation. Right now, we don't have anything other than information that this could have been a terrible accident. And I'm using those language because that's what the AES spokesperson used in their press release. So I'm taking the AES press release and using the language that they used to speak to you because that's what the company used. Okay, so I'm not making this up. I'm not saying that this is a terrible accident because I want to believe it's a terrible accident. I want to believe it's a terrible accident. I'm not going to lie to my audience about that. I want to believe that this is a terrible accident because I don't want to believe anything other than that. If that information does come forward and we do find out that this is something worse, then we'll address it at that time. But for now, we're going to be on the vein that this is a terrible accident, that something happened and 16 people lost their lives because of an accident that triggered multiple other explosions that I want to believe brought down the building. It may have been in one isolated area. They have testing areas inside that building. Maybe some protocols weren't, or that they were using something that had a larger combustible component than what they originally had anticipated. So there's a lot of different nuances that could be contributing factors to this explosion. But at the end of the day, we do have victims and we do not have a whole lot of information other than this is horrible. This is terrible. This has rocked that community. This has rocked 16 families and their extended families' lives. There's a name in there, Boatman. I know a boatman from Indiana. It always makes me wonder, is this, somebody related to even somebody I know? I don't know. I really don't. But we're going to continue to say prayers for the folks that are associated with this terrible accident. There's one of the victims right there. This is Raina Gillihan. We learned of her yesterday. This right here is a chemist. This is Donald Yowell. This is one of the people that we did not have on the list yesterday. For whatever reason, I feel like this is the guy that the sheriff knew. I don't know why, but he's one of the first people that, in my opinion, were pulled out of the wreckage. Or identified, but I believe the pastor was identified, Trent. Trent was the one that was identified the first. Turn that off. That was too loud. All right, let me get this straightened out for you guys. There we go.
With everybody being so close, it's comforting. It's very comforting to have family. And that's what we are. I got up that morning and it was all over the news. We heard numerous people was missing. We didn't find out till later on that they were actually deported.
it's hard in a small community like this to find someone who is not kin to or very close to the family of a victim.
I have a family member that works there, and I immediately thought of her and her safety. My cousin, her daughter, got a call from her and saying that she was okay and that, you know, it was just a lot of damage.
My friend's stepdad's dad, he died there.
I know about 4 as of right now. One of my cousins was out there. One of the little girls that I used to watch grow up, Rachel Woodall, she was in it.
We have a young man in our church that his twin brother was killed. This tragedy, it's going to take a number of weeks, even months, for families to get any kind of closure for this.
Honestly, it'll probably make it stronger because, you know, there was a flood here a couple of years ago, and
so they've already had some tragedy there.
That just it made the community stronger. It made them closer and everything.
I think especially when something tragic like this happens, the community comes together. We all just mourn together and we put our hearts out for everyone.
Just got to be strong, stay together, hold on tight.
Just tragedy. All right, folks, I think that's really it for that. We're going to be moving on to a different topic of conversation, a different story. If you guys were looking for the information related to the victims, that is it. Let me just go ahead and give you guys the victims' names one more time for those that are just tuning in that want some information about the Tennessee blast of victims. We have 16 total victims: Trent Stewart, Melissa Dawn Sanford, Chris Clark, Raina Gillihan, Eric Anderson, Jeremy Moore, Adam Boatman, Rachel Woodall, Mindy Clifton, Billy Baker, Jason Adams, Stephen Wright, Donald Yoel, James Cook, Letitia May, and Melinda Rainey. So those are the 16 victims loved by their community. This was just a terrible, terrible tragedy that we are learning. There may be some more news coming in, but until that day, there's nothing I can say other than this sounds like a terrible, terrible tragedy. So we also have another case. It is the case of 2 siblings. They are 4 and 6 years old, and their names is Lilly and Jack Sullivan. I don't know where my papers are for them. Crap. Give me a second. This is not my paperwork. Where the hell is it? Oh, it's down here. Okay. So we have 2 children, Lilly and Jack Sullivan. They disappeared on a spring morning, May 2nd, 2025, just a few months ago. They have not been seen or heard from since. Mom, stepdad acting really weird. They're not cohesive. Mom took off, never came back, blocked the stepfather. Just a whole host of really weird, red flags. So in a quiet rural community of Lansdowne Station, Pictou County, Nova Scotia, a family's worst nightmare unfolded on the spring morning, May 2nd, 2025. 6-year-old Lilly Sullivan and her 4-year-old brother Jack vanished from their home on Garlock Road, sparking one of the most extensive searches in the province history. What started as a possible wandering event evolved into a mysterious mystery shrouded in speculation and unanswered questions. Today, over 5 months later, the siblings remain missing and no confirmed sightings since the day before their disappearance. Here's the factual background of what we know presented in chronological order. On April 30th, Lilly and Jack, their mother, their stepfather, and their baby sister Meadow went over to Malehya's grandmother's home to wash laundry, allegedly, and that's where Lilly ended up getting a black eye. They returned back to their trailer on Garlock Road around 10:20 in the morning. Excuse me for hitting the microphone. The next day, on May 2nd, the family was captured. The children were called into school. Actually, you know what? Let me put the timeline up. Give me just a second. There we go. And so we have the timeline up there. Monday the 28th, they went to school. Tuesday, they went to school. Wednesday the 30th, they went over to the grandmother's house to wash clothes. Lily got a black eye. They get home around 10:20. The next day, they said both the kids were kept home sick on May 1st. May 1st, the family was captured at a Dollarama school in New Glasgow around 2:25 p.m. The children were kept home this day on Thursday, May 1st, due to Lily's cough. Don't understand why Jack was kept home. Malehya stated that the kids went to bed on the 1st between 9 and 10 p.m., while Martell stayed up longer. According to an interview that he did with the Drunk Turkey Show, he stated he doesn't recall the kids even being in the house or awake at the time he came in from working on the fence with his mother. We're thinking that he had to have come in around 7 or 7:30. So where were the kids from 7:30 to 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. when Malehya said she put them down? Because Daniel just said he didn't remember seeing or hearing them that night. And was surprised that Malehya told law enforcement she put them to bed between 9 and 10 p.m., which was unusual. He also states on the next morning, around 6:15 in the morning, Malehya is the one that called the children into school again to keep them out prior to reporting them missing. And between 8 and 9:40 a.m., while the parents were in the bedroom with Meadow, the little sister, Lily was seen entering and exiting the room several times while Jack was heard in the kitchen. But according to this interview that Daniel gave the Drunk Turkey Show, he states that when he went into the kitchen, it didn't appear, even though he heard Jack in the kitchen, it didn't appear Jack was ever in the kitchen. Because when Jack is in the kitchen, chairs are moved, things are gotten into, and he said although he heard him, he didn't see that there was any signs of him in that kitchen. What does it say here? And Betty, don't forget, when they went shopping and bought medicine for Meadow teething, they bought nothing for Lily's. Oh, interesting, Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn brings up a point that they bought medicine for Meadow's teething, but never bought any cough suppressant for Lily while they were out at the Dollarama. So around 8:50 in the morning, Martell's mother, Janie McKenzie, states that she heard the children out there playing before she fell back asleep, and shortly before 10 a.m., the parents were outside, searched outside, realizing the children were gone, noting that the front door was still latched and that the only way they could have gotten out is the sliding back door. But he did put a caveat on that. In the interview that he gave Daniel with the Drunk Turkey Show, he says that Lily and Jack had a hard time closing that very quiet back door, that it would take a lot of strength because it was a heavy door and usually took Lily's both hands to shut it. So it's even causing more questions as to whether those children were able to really go out that sliding glass door by themselves. Allegedly, the mother called law enforcement around 10:01 a.m. They were there within 30 minutes. They said that Lily was wearing pink sweater, pink pants, pink boots. Jack had blue dinosaur boots. He also stated that Lily never took her white and strawberry backpack out of the house. She never used it for school, and she never took it out of the house. So I thought that was pretty interesting, seeing how he stated that she left with that backpack. During the search, Martell thought he heard a child scream, but could not confirm it due to the overhead helicopters, and further stated to the Drunk Turkey Show that it could have been some searchers hollering back and forth that he could have heard. At 12:25, the RCMP released a statement saying that children had wandered off and that they do not believe there's any signs of abduction, and updated followed at 4:55 with a vulnerable person advisory. By the next day in the early morning hours, The only person up, allegedly, was Malehya, as she was contacting police around 1 a.m. to accuse her ex, Cody Sullivan, of possibly taking the children. And so law enforcement went and visited her ex's house around 3 a.m., and he denied any involvement and expressed that he hasn't seen the children in 3 years. That day, searches expanded to over 100 police and volunteers and teams, dogs, and drones, but not cadaver dogs. I guess they're scent dogs or ground disturbance dogs. We never got clarification on what type of dogs were out there. By May 4th, the search involved 160 people. By May 4th, Malehya Brooks-Murray took off that evening before and never returned back to the property, leaving only Daniel Martell and his mother to deal with all of this. And that brings us up to where we are today, where Malehya Brooks-Murray has crawled out from under the rock that she's been living and decided to make a statement. And the statement is very questionable, in my opinion. Her statement to the world is very questionable. And we're going to bring up Matt Thibodeau. I've like this young kid. He's in school. We'd like to support him. If you guys have not been to any of his channels, please do. He doesn't come with the bullshit, okay, folks? So if you guys don't know him, here he is right here. This is, let me see if I can get, hold on one second. Here's his YouTube page. Let me throw this in here. So you guys need to be signing up for his YouTube page. But he's really big in TikTok. That's how I found him, was TikTok. And it's his TikTok page that I always, share and stuff like that. But he brings and breaks down this statement from Malehya Brooks-Murray on his channel here on YouTube. So let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say. He released this about 2 days ago, but we're just getting around to it. So I want you guys to hear it, and then we'll further discuss.
Did you guys see that Malehya Brooks-Murray, the mother of Lilly and Jack Sullivan, who have been missing for over 5 months, released a statement, a written statement? I'm going to read what she had to say for those who didn't see this yet. As a mother, I love my children more than life itself and feel so heartbroken not being able to hold my 2 children, Lilly and Jack, kiss them, breathe in their scent, or tuck them into bed, dress them, wake up to their sweet smiling faces. The longing I have for them to come back home to me is a greater feeling that I could never imagine feeling or put into words how I am feeling. There is not one single day, minute, or second that goes by that I am not thinking of them. I walk into a store and all I see is things they love that I want to get for them when they come home. The candy they like, the clothes they wear, the toys they love. All I see is them. I so desperately just want them home safe and sound, back into my arms where I will never let them go. I am truly traumatized not being able to hear the sweet sound of their voices, their laugh when they would sing a Gabby's Dollhouse song that now only makes me cry when I hear it, because all I hear is Lilly and Jack singing along. Not being able to breathe in their scent when I embrace them tightly, I don't want these moments to be memories. I want my babies back home, my Lily Mae and Jackie. The pure pain I suffer of just not knowing where they are has impacted my life and Meadows and my family in the most devastating way. Life feels extremely hard to keep going. With no answers, it is just pure lostness. Like I can no longer feel at home anymore. No matter how lost I feel, I have not ever given up hope that my children will be returned. I have all of the faith and hope that I will see them again. Please, anyone with information, come forward. Please do not be afraid to use your voice to help bring home Lilly and Jack. Even the smallest details are crucial. She goes on to say, I will never stop searching for my children until they are found and brought home safe and sound. Someone somewhere knows something, so please help bring my babies home. To the incredible volunteers, searchers, investigators, and compassionate strangers who have stood beside us, thank you. You've shown me that love, kindness, and compassion still shine even in the darkest times. Everything you've done has not gone unnoticed. Thank you with deepest gratitude, Malehya Brooks-Murray. This is one of the first times that we've heard from Malehya Brooks-Murray in quite some time.
I will tell you, Matt's going to say that, basically it's kind of funny. Now we're finally getting a statement from the mom. And the mom's saying basically she's never going to stop looking for her kids. She never started looking for her kids. Where has she been? She's been MIA. She took off with Meadows. She ran from the scene. She blocked Daniel. She went on the run with her child to the point that law enforcement had to track her down and take the child away from her. So we're not dealing with a situation here where, I'm sorry, I believe both of these parents are responsible for something. I don't know what, but I'm sick and tired of law enforcement and everybody else telling us that these children are, somewhere out in the woods, that there's nothing to see over here, that the parents are innocent of any wrongdoing. I don't believe it. You can take that crap and shove it where the sun don't shine. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. There is something not right here. If these children wandered off, they would have found their bodies by now. Period. There's no bodies out there to find. So either one of two things happened. These parents disposed of these children somewhere the evening before, or somebody abducted these children that morning. And law enforcement is still maintaining that these children were not abducted. They've looked in that avenue and they still maintain these children were not abducted. The idea that these children merely wandered off, they would have been found. We all know that. So these children aren't out in the woods. They're not being picked up by any scent dog. It sounds like a whole Sebastian Rogers 2.0. They walked into the house but never walked out of the house. They walked into the house but they never walked out of the house. So that's kind of where our show ends for this. I think what I'm going to end up doing is creating another show. We're already at 11 o'clock, so we've already been going for at least about an hour and a half at this point. I do have other cases that I do want to go over with everybody because they're interesting cases to me. And if they're interesting cases to me, I know they'll be interesting cases to you, but they're not breaking cases. They're more of conversation piece, like this guy right here. He was accused of and convicted of shaking his baby to death, and now people are saying, wait a minute, back when he was convicted, nobody ever talked about SIDS. Nobody ever talked about SIDS. So this guy right here might be going to the electric chair and have nothing whatsoever to do with the death of his child because they didn't understand what SIDS was back when they convicted him. And there's a lot of people, including Dr. Phil, that's going up to bat for this guy right now, saying, wait, don't execute him yet. There might be more here. So it's been a long time, but it sounds like the courts are saying, okay, well, let's just see what comes of this. We're not going to do anything just yet. And so they're putting a pause on everything right now until they find out what's going on with this guy. But this really does sound like a guy that, had some problems. And because of his problems, his previous problems, they automatically assume that he did something terrible to his child. And it sounds like that may not be the case, that this may be a terrible tragedy where his child lost its life because of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, as opposed to being a shaken baby. And so we'll be going over this later this afternoon. I've got a lot of different cases coming up. Just stuff that we haven't talked about. Summer Wells hasn't been discussed in a really long time. We'll be going over her case. There's been some, some new revelations coming up in her case that we may want to go back and spend some time, maybe a week or two, diving into her case file. We have a huge case file here on the Bullhorn Betty channel for Summer Wells. I spent a lot of months out there in Tennessee searching for this young girl and came up shortchanged, and her father always tried to screw with us. He always wanted to meet with us, then he canceled. He had us running around like chickens with our head cut off from 5 o'clock in the morning until an afternoon when we finally located him and we had him thrown off his job. And not only that, but, nobody wants to know that a person is, could possibly be a suspect in a disappearance of their own child working around children. And nobody, yeah, I shame on his employer. His employer knew what was going on and still let him go around other women and children, and that right there to me was a liability issue. I'm sorry, I'm going to do what I think is right no matter what. I don't care for approval from my audience. I don't care for approval from the government. I don't care. If it's within my rights to do it and I want to do it, by God, I'm going to do it, okay? And this was a situation where he ran us all around, and he wanted to keep dodging us. What parent that's looking for their child is going to dodge people that are out there absolutely looking for their child? There's not going to happen. But he did. So finally, after 2.5 years, I finally did get my opportunity to sit down and speak to Don directly. He wouldn't let me record it, but he recorded our conversations. I'm still waiting for him to release that recording. Don Wells, please release the recording that we had. I think everybody should see how I treated you, because everybody wants to say when I disagree with somebody, I treat him like shit. No, I don't. I think he did something to his child, and I treated him like I would have like I treat Seth when I was interviewing him. I treated him with utmost respect. I kept my glasses on. I kept direct questions on. I kept the pressure on. And I was of utmost respectful and kind to him while I was questioning him. Just because I think somebody did something doesn't mean when I have them in front of me or I sit there and interview them, I'm going to be going scorched earth on them. I don't do that. I'm a professional here. I know people try to say that I'm not, but when it comes to finding out answers, you will find out how crafty and clever I am to get what I need to get. What I do here in the office, in the studio, is something totally different than what I do out there in the field. Even the stuff that I say in the studio about Sheriff Snuggle struggles, whenever you see me out there on the road advocating for Sebastian Wayne Rogers, you're going to see a different Betty out there. I'm a very direct person, very respectful. We don't, tell people to go F themselves. I do that here in the comfort of my studio. When I'm out there, I'm respectful to people, right? Because I feel like we're out there to do a service, to give a service for Sebastian Wayne Rogers. When I'm here in my studio, I speak for myself no matter what case I cover. When I'm out there in the field advocating for a victim, I work for that victim for that day, and therefore my conduct has to be appropriate for that victim. I'm no longer acting in my own ability. I'm acting on behalf of somebody else, and I take that with a lot of pride and a lot of respect. So you see a lot different when I'm out there on the streets doing my job than when I'm in here in the office doing my job. But either way, when we're out there, I'm still going to be direct. I'm still not going to let up, and I am still coming in there to embarrass the sheriff. And I hope that the community understands that you have, in the Sebastian Rogers case, a child missing from your community, and we need all hands on deck. This is not one of these suggested things. If you want somebody to help you when your child is missing, by God, get off your bum and help when another child is missing. Because let me tell you, it's not fair that you would expect more than you would give. Yet all too often, that's exactly what humans do. They don't want to give what they expect from the community. And let me tell you, if you're not willing to give it, nobody should be willing to give it to you in your time of need. But I guarantee every time you've had a time of need, somebody was there for you. Now I'm asking for you to be there for somebody else, to pay it forward. I am cashing in, pay it forward, for the people out there in Sumner County, right? And also here in Hawkins County for Summer Wells. It's time to pay it forward. It's time to get the shitty sheriff out of office. I never went and challenged because it was too small of a community, Rogersville and Hawkins County. But you know what? It's becoming a very, very apparent issue in the state of Tennessee, the corrupt sheriffs that are littered about. Not that every sheriff in Tennessee is corrupt, but you guys got a lot of corrupted sheriffs and a lot of corrupted communities. And the only way we're going to fix that is to talk about it, to expose it, and to fix it. Hawkins County is the very first corrupted county that I have ever had the ability of going in. The difference is they didn't know what to do with us, and so they chose to work with us instead of fighting us. Sumner County, on the other hand, chose to fight us instead of work with us, and I can tell you they're going to regret that. They will forever regret that. For the next 10 years, I can promise you, every time Eric Craddock is around, he is going to be blowing bubbles that say BHB, okay? He's going to wish he had never stepped into the shit with Bullhorn Betty. And he's going to forever hate the people that brought Bullhorn Betty to his front steps. I promise you, he may not do it right now. He may not do it right now, but I can guarantee whoever brought me into his world, he is going to forever hate. Okay? Somebody just said something about, didn't I just see a Brandy Neal? Here it is from Nani. Yeah, she can be controversial, but even with rep, just look at the difference of how Brandy Neal was. She'd sit down with anyone to find her son. Yep. That's it. Yep. That's it. Brandy Neal, they terrified her. They told her, listen, I don't hide anything. When I come to protest, I'm telling you, I'm coming to protest. When I'm coming to fact find, I'm coming to fact find. Trust me, I have no reason to lie. Because if I'm coming to protest, I want bodies out there with me. Okay? So I'm not going to lie to people about protesting. And not only that, I'm not going to lie because I've got to make sure law enforcement knows. I got to make sure that all these things are done. It's not just me being out there. We've got to do certain things that bring everybody in, and we want everybody to be safe, including law enforcement. So there's no reason why, but all the time, more times than not, people call and say, she's coming to protest, she's coming to protest. And I told Brandy, I'm not, I just want to speak to her, I want to have a conversation. I did all my due diligence. When I met with her, I already knew she was a good mom. I already knew she had nothing to do with her son. All these people putting this poor lady through hell, just for me to try to help her. Now, mind you, all these people wanted to sit at home behind a computer and not lift a finger to help, not put any type of money. They wanted to run her case. They wanted to make sure she had a face full of tears for all those clicks and the views, but they didn't want to actually spend any of their hard-earned money to go out there and find out answers for this beautiful lady. They just wanted to use her for profit. Me, I put money where my mouth is, and I went out there to find answers. And guess what? We found out the answers that we found out. We located the people we needed to locate. I even had an interview with the guy that had his drone shot out of the sky. I got to see the drone. This drone was huge. Never seen a drone that big in my life. Shot out of the sky, $30,000 worth of damage. This man did not have enough money to fix it. It was sad. It was very, very sad. I also met a lady that saw Brandy out there looking for her son at the water pad, frantic. She thought she was looking for a lost pet. Come to find out it was her son. We do a lot here on the Bullhorn Betty channel for these. I know that many of you guys have seen me over the last couple years sitting at home. It's because we've had a lot of financial stuff hit us. A lot of lawfare from these hate channels getting these parents involved, which they're going to end up hating these channels. Once they start getting hit with the bill, the actual, reality of what they did, when they start having to pony up the money for what they did, these hate channels, these parents are not going to like them because they brought them into this. They thought it was going to be funny. And here's these parents now going to have to pay a boatload of money to Bullhorn Betty after everything's said and done. And trust me, they will, because I'll take a slap to the Supreme Court if I have to. Those people are going to pay me my damages. And do you think when they have to pay Bullhorn Betty damages, do you think they're going to be plotting Illuminati? No, they're going to not want anything to do with her. They're not going to want anything to do with her. So we're just going to keep going down this road. We're going to make sure everybody has to be accountable. But more importantly, it's time to get these horrible sheriffs and other broken people out of the Tennessee system. And one of the reasons why I'm going in there with some small groups, we're going to be meeting with a lot of people over the next 4 years, okay? And it's going to be the 26, 28, and 30. We're going to be going through a lot. The next 4 years, we're going to be in Tennessee and Kentucky a lot. And we're going to still have to maintain our true crime stuff. So I've got to try to find ways to incorporate crime, which, out there shouldn't be too hard. I mean, to be honest with you, Tennessee is starting to become a very a crime-ridden state, and they still have no laws to help protect them. It's insane to me. Like, we're having to bring our president in there to clean up Memphis, Tennessee. I can tell you, I was in Memphis, Tennessee, walking around at night. People don't want to mess with Betty. I'm going to tell you that. People don't want to mess with Betty. Because if I feel like somebody's walking behind, I'll turn around and I'll just yoke them up. I Like, don't touch me. You guys think I'm joking. I defend the shit out of myself. And you guys can see it. And I'll walk a perp walk to defend myself. I've done it before. You guys watched it live here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. I'll do a perp walk very well. But there's going to be hell to pay, folks. There's going to be hell to pay. But let's get away from this. Chlamydia must be charged. You know what? I think that's why they're trying to, they're slimy, right? They do slimy stuff, and then they try to hide the slimy stuff. They think it's funny, and then when they realize they're about to be, they're about to have to deal with it, then they try to delete it because they're dirty. They're dirty bees, right? And they go, oh, I'm going to go delete this. They will never be able to find it. Well, that's so stupid, because what it does is it shows that they're actively trying to hide evidence, and you can go and easily get a subpoena and get it from Google. So it's like they're so stupid. But you can't fix stupidity with common sense. So we'll just let them look stupid. Brandy look better than she has in a while. Oh, how was her surgery? I know she was going in for surgery. I cried. I cried for that lady. I really did. My heart broke to think that she would never get to see justice for her son. That broke my heart. That I will tell you that right now. That broke my heart. That broke my heart. That broke my heart. This lady has fought for her. She has gone through hell and back. She deserves to see those animals arrested. And I just don't know why they still haven't been arrested. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm going to keep my mouth shut, because if I open my mouth now, people try to ruin some of the stuff I do, because people are hateful people. And like I said, I hate liberal white women, and liberal white women hate me. So they'll do whatever they can to try to destroy anything that we try to do on this channel if we publicize it. So I've got some things up my sleeve that I think I'm going to work on with Michael Monkey Vaughn and go from there. I think we probably need to, this is what I really think we need to do. I think we need to raise some money, not right this moment. I've got too many sticks in the pot. We need to get through Sebastian Rogers' case first. But I do believe that we need to start raising money for two signs. We need to update the sign for Summer Wells and get that posted out in Tennessee. And we need to update and get a new missing person flyer sign for Michael Monkey Vaughn and get that out. Either I go and take it out to Idaho, or we get that mailed off to Brandy to go out there, to put out there. Oh, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Love Bug. And that might be helpful. All right, guys. Well, we've definitely got a show later this afternoon. I hope you guys come back. We'll have some updated on our meat and potatoes. If you guys have cases that you would like me to look at, please send those to me. We just went over Crystal's case yesterday. There wasn't a whole lot we could do. It's from 2023. Sounds like law enforcement, if she wasn't self-harm and she was met with foul play, sounds like law enforcement screwed up that case so much that it's going to be next to impossible to undo that assessment. So there was nothing I could really do to help that particular, God gracious, me and the hiccups, that particular case. But if you guys do have cases in your area that are interesting, the sooner we get to them, the better. But more importantly is we'd like to have some type of contact with the family if possible. This helps us make sure that the information that we have is accurate. It gives us a contact person that we can talk to if leads come in or any other information comes in. That is our preference. Obviously, we work a lot of cases without any family members whatsoever, so it doesn't really take that away, but we just need something where we have some information and can at least get a starting point for our advocacy on the new case. Right now, good news is that we do have a lot of cases going on, but there's not a lot of cases that we can really cover. There's a lot of CSAM cases. There's a lot of HTST. As you guys heard, there was 30 children found in Tennessee, and that was on the backs of 60 plus children found here in Florida. We found like 90% of our children. It sounds like there's a lot of other states that are following suit and trying to find their children. Texas having 30, that's huge. I still believe there's a lot more out in Texas of all states. And I hope and pray that each and every state continues to do this work as we try to find our children. Our children are prey. We have a very sick country that's doing a lot of sick things, and the only people that are really paying attention to this are the public. And it took us a long time to get law enforcement on board with what is going on with women and children in this country. People keep trying to act like it's not happening. But what I also am starting to see is that people are starting to proclaim that they're victims when they're not, to try to avoid prosecution and other things. So, I want true victims to be coming forward, but I do not want to let people like normal prostitutes that do it for the money, try to say that they're trafficked when they're not, and try to avoid prosecution that way when they're causing a lot of problems and spreading a lot of things to people that should not be. We need to be fair with this. Like, I want to find the trafficked people and I want to help them get out of the situation, but I also want to make sure that people aren't using that as a way to avoid responsibility. Betty, the 12-year-old child found unalived in the empty building. I don't remember her name. Police caught yesterday the mom and aunt, and the father is wanted. Yeah, I did see the aunt. I saw the first one. Thank you for bringing that up. I meant to tell you guys that. I did see where the aunt, I didn't know about the mom or the father, but I did see the aunt was arrested in her death, in her homicide. I don't know if she was charged with actually, as a matter of fact, I don't think she was charged at the time. I think she was detained and being held, but no charges were pending at the time. And that was just the aunt. And so now it sounds like the mom has also been picked up, but the father is on the run and or wanted. I don't understand how anybody can hurt a child. We're here every day scratching our head trying to figure out how somebody could hurt a child, but yet so many of our cases are children. And so many of the suspects in these children cases are family or their parents. And then people want to get mad at us and say, why are you focusing on the parent? Because 98% of our freaking cases, it's the blessed parents. That's why. Let's be honest. 90% of our cases on this channel, when it comes to children, it's a parent. That's why we always side-eye the parent. We look at these cases and it's just another face, another name. The story's pretty much the same. Few details are different, but it's just another face and another name, same story. Same story, different day. Betty posts the press in mod chat. Betty posts the press in mod chat. I don't know what that means. Mom has $5 million bond. Aunt has $1 million. Father, who is missing, $5 million too. So I think it was a stepdad that they were looking for. That doesn't. If it's a stepfather, then I feel bad for the girl because I just don't trust this day and age. There's just so many sick puppies out there. I don't trust stepfathers anymore, and it's sad because my stepdad was great. He never touched us. He never did any weird shit. He never spied on us. He never, he was a dad. He wasn't, a creep. And it seems so many of these people get with these creeps and they don't know, and they just put their children around them, and then they find out that they're another stepfather. Yeah, that's what I'm starting to say. Parents, you guys stop. If we find out that this man is a stepfather and he did something, because with $5,000, a $5 million bond, and mom has a $5 million bond, and aunt has a $1 million bond, that's telling me that they think the mom and the dad did something and the aunt covered it up. I mean, that's what the bonds are telling me. So we'll see. I did hear that. We'll come back later this afternoon and have those discussions about this. Do I already have it up? I might already have it up, as a matter of fact. Yeah, we go over Alec Murdaugh. There it is. New Britain. There it is. Remains found. They talk about the mom or the aunt. The child's mother, Carla Garcia, 29, of New Britain, is charged with murder with special circumstances and several additional charges with her bond is set at $5 million. So mom is charged with murder. The girl's aunt, Jacqueline Garcia, 28, of New Britain, is charged with cruelty of a person under the age of 19 and other charges. So she wasn't an actual, so yeah, she was just basically, she's charged with cruelty of a person under 19, so she must have had an active participant in some type of abuse with her. But Jacqueline Garcia, the sister of the mom, is also charged with $1 million lawsuit, or $1 million bond. Mom's got $5 million, and it's a boyfriend. Police have also have an active arrest warrant for Carla's Garcia's boyfriend. So it's not even a stepfather, it's a boyfriend. His name's Jonathan Nanita, N-A-N-I-T-A, and they charged him with murder with special circumstances and other counts. So it's not even the stepfather, it's a boyfriend. It's a boyfriend. So we have a mom, an aunt, and her boyfriend, and it appears that mom and boyfriend murdered child. Aunt was aware of it and did nothing. And that's probably the cruelty to child, because she didn't intervene. And so she got a cruelty to child for not intervening and saving the child. That's what I'm starting to see. Wow, boyfriend didn't notice this. Yeah. So the boyfriend and mom have been charged with murder. Sick. That's what you got, you know? Well, what do we do with moms when they don't even give a shit about their kids? Right? I don't know. There's just some pieces of me that's just super like barbaric, and it's just like sometimes I'm glad we have laws, and I'm glad I have self-control, because I tell you what, back in my 20s I had zero self-control. And had I been in this business at 20, which would not have been a good suit, I'd probably be in jail for like the rest of my life. But in my 20s, I would have smacked a bitch. If I would have heard that somebody did this to a child, the first thing they would see is my fist. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. My 20s were wild, and I didn't give a shit. 10 foot tall and bulletproof. Okay, I'm 46. My body doesn't work the way it is. It hurts a lot. I wake up in the middle of the night in god-awful agony from bone pain and everything else. So my wild days are a little over. You know, they're a little over. But you know what? Soft targets and all. I think I can still hang with the 20-somethings. Kind of, sort of. Okay, maybe not. Quit laughing at me all at once. But you know, once upon a time, Betty used to have it. Not no more. Betty lost it a little bit, but you know, once upon a time, I was a wild child, baby. I was a wild child, right? But these poor children in these houses, you know, I come from a house that wasn't perfect, that had some violence in it, and you know, at the end of the day, I do believe my parents loved me. I believe that they gave me a life that they didn't have. I believe they did better for me than their family did for them. You know, I honor my mom. I honor my father. Even if I don't have the closest relationship with my father, I pray about him often, right? I pray for his health and his well-being. I do what I can responsibly and respectfully. But you hear these stories, and these stories are just horrific. You know that child was not loved. You see beautiful photos of this child where her hair was done. And this is like, you know, in all fairness, this case reminds me a little bit of Lilly and Jack Sullivan, because Malehya used to take care of her kids. She used to, you know, make them look cute and look like dolls, right? Like she used to style them, you know, dress them to style. Like they were rocking kids. They were cute. They were fun. I loved looking at the photos, and this is the way this young girl was as well. We saw beautiful photos of her on, you know, where her hair was done, and she had a beautiful big smile on her face. And I guarantee you that was prior to that man walking into their life. Just like those children, Lilly and Jack Sullivan, were well taken care of before Daniel Martell walked into their life, right? So now we have this joker, Jonathan, walking into this woman's life, and now her young daughter's dead. Her young daughter's dead, and I guarantee that she was abused because this man didn't like children, or didn't like noise, or couldn't handle the fact that kids ran around and spilled things and broke things and did stuff like that, and probably punished her for being just a normal child. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at in our society. So pray for these folks. Be nosy people, especially when you have children living around you. I don't really care what they call you. As long as children aren't dying in your community, you're doing right? So it doesn't matter how nosy you are, but this ain't gonna be your story, right? People can say a lot of things about you, but this will not be your story. This will not be your community story. So be involved. If you see something that doesn't seem right, ask questions. If a child doesn't want to answer, then make the report. A pound of well, I guess I got that backwards. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So we want to make sure that we prevent stuff from ever happening. We don't want to get to a point where we are the Department of Children and Family Services and we do reactive based, work. We want a proactive based work, not reactive based work. And I feel more times than not, the Department of Children and Family Services reacts instead of pro-react. You know what I'm saying? We want stuff to be prevented. We don't want to be get to the point where it's done and now we're having to reel from the tragedy itself. This young girl was put in a container and abandoned like garbage, and her family did that to her. And more times than not, that's what we're going to find out with Sebastian Rogers, what we're going to find out with Summer Wells, is what we're going to find out with Layla Santinello. It's going to be what we find out with a lot of our young children. Our young children have been thrown away like garbage someplace. We need to find out where Brandon Shurtleff used to live, because I believe Brandon Shurtleff is the key to Michael Monkey Vaughn's case. I don't know why I have that in my gut, but I feel like he was the person that took that child to his mother's house when his mother wasn't there. I believe he was the one that was alone with that child. I believe he's the one that unalived that child, and I believe he's the one that disposed of that child. And that child would be somewhere where he would have been, where he previously lived. He did have access to vehicles while he was alone with that child. That child will be somewhere that Brandon Shurtleff was known to be at. I truly believe that. If we can get some people that knew Brandon Shurtleff, knew where his mother lived, knew his behaviors, you might be able to help solve a case out there in Idaho. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. God bless each and every one of you. We'll see you soon.